Today is the first upload of 2026. Now, a lot of people spend their time doing New Year's resolutions, New Year's goals. I'm sure those are interchangeable. But anyway, my point is that I'm not actually here to say that they're bad. I'm not actually here to say they're bad at all. I'm here to say that they're good. It's a form of motivation, and I think that's good. Motivation is not bad. If you have discipline and motivation, imagine just how big your spark would be. Huge, right? So, a lot of people's New Year's resolution I've seen it quite a bit, actually. It's to cut off people who no longer serve them. And this is not strictly people, but it's also things. You could kind of use this framework that I'm about to give you with things too, and with yourself, with like your own behaviors. But we'll go on to that in a bit. So, without further ado, let's just get started. Firstly, this is the part where most self-improvement channels actually do get right. So, you assess people's patterns. You assess people's patterns. 6 months would do. 6 months is more than enough to assess people's patterns, and like analytically, and you could assess that somebody has been doing a behavior that you don't really like. For this video, we'll use a comparison with we'll use a common one that I've experienced that goes like, friend A keeps trying to embarrass you in front of the friend group. Like, he makes mocking jokes. He doesn't make it whenever you're alone with him, but he makes it while you guys are in a friend group. It's bothering you. It's been happening for quite a while. Doesn't have to be 6 months, by the way. That's just it's not arbitrary, but it's like, come on, if you see 6 months of that action, that's a pattern. So, you see the pattern, but where most self-improvement channels get it wrong, where most self-improvement books even get it wrong, is that you cut them off then. I think this is backwards. This is completely backwards. I think it's quite harmful, because if you really care about somebody and they care about you, you change for each other. A relationship doesn't have to be perfect. Relationship as in a broader term, not strictly romantic. So, if you really care about each other, you'd be willing to change. Why would you immediately cut them off? Even if you do tell them, like, I understand that, you tell somebody you ask them to change, and they say no, but they don't really give much reasoning as to why. I would go as far as to say you shouldn't cut them off even then. Should not cut them off, because I'll say this, self-improvement itself is changing. That's literally the niche that most of these channels are in, or that I'm talking about, and they're saying that other people cannot change. How are you going to be that contradictory? Like, you can change, but they can't? No, everybody's their own person, and they're they're able to change. Well, you'll be assessing that in this video with this framework. So, you have patterns. Once you recognize a pattern that's unfavorable, you simply just ask them. You talk to them. Hey, friend A, I don't really like the way that you embarrass me in front of other friends. I'd say at least 40% of people would already change after that. Boom, problem solved. That's like, I mean, like, do you know any problems that you could just have a 40% success rate? Like, just immediately after doing such a simple thing? Like, I mean, that's dumb not to do. That's just dumb to not talk to them. I say this because I've done this in the past where I regret cutting off somebody. Even if I did talk to them, I wouldn't really give them a chance. And then, well, I don't really need to explain more, but that's the gist of it. To prevent you, the viewer, from that regret, I think you need to use this framework. So, you have patterns. The next one is capability. Capability is the literal ability to do something. We'll use the example of the behavior that I just said. Are most people able to change the behavior set of just simply embarrassing you in front of other people? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Most people could change, and it's dumb to say that most people aren't capable of that. Something that's not like people wouldn't be capable of is it's like people who have had bad childhoods and they're severely anxiously attached. So they're like, who are you texting? Who are you blah 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 blah. You guys know what I'm talking about. You could in theory spend a bunch of time, like years and years, like decades even, changing that person. But you should realize that, like, you should weigh off those options. But for most behaviors, again, it's just as simple as after you tell them, they'd probably be able to change that. You go back to patterns, you go back and forth. If there's no behavior change, you see the pattern has not changed at all, then you go on to the step number 2, which is somebody's want to do something. If I had a board, I'd be writing these down. So pattern, capability, want. Next one is want. Well, somebody's willingness to do something. I mean, it's kind of simple to say, but like, somebody's not willing to do something for you, they don't care for you. They probably don't care for you. Well, as much as you do, if you're talking to them, asking them genuinely to change, they probably don't care as much as you think they do. In which point, you would cut them off. Next option, or not the next option, the next step would be safety. Be safety, and again, I'd be writing this down if I had a whiteboard, but today I'm walking because it's quite nice. It's quite nice and warm, actually. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, even though the winter solstice was literally 10 days ago. It's just crazy. So safety is the security that you give somebody else to do a behavior. I won't lie, this is the most accountable one. Let's use the same example again. Let's say they're embarrassing you in front of other people, but you're doing the same thing. How are they supposed to feel secure How are they supposed to feel safe to not do so? I mean, you may be just doing the same behavior, and for them to be safe, they have to do the exact same thing, just to not like be lower on the social hierarchy. This sounds autistic, but I mean, you guys know what I mean. Like, it, you can't cut someone off without assessing yourself as well. Honestly, this is just one step, but I think it's one of them, like, honestly, like, most important. Like, you got to make sure that you're not, like, you may be the person that needs to be cut off, not them. And in fact, you cutting them off may be beneficial for them. They may have a better status in the friend group, whatever else. But once you have that, you can kind of use like checkmark system. So you go to patterns, you have that behavior set, then you go to capability. Sorry, you talk to them first. You talk to them first. They say, if you guys have a good talk, you go on to capability. If they're capable, yes, most people are capable of changing their behavior sets. That's what self-improvement is. It'd be retarded to say that they can't. Checkmark, they're capable, so do not cut them off. You wait a little while, maybe a few weeks, goes back to normal, goes back to the way it was, not normal. And then you're like, okay, well, this is not changing. At this point, you obviously talk to them again. Then you see willingness. Are they even willing to change? Well, you think back to the way they talked. This is just a thought process, by the way, but this is a thought process that you should have as well in doing this framework. You think, well, they seem genuine. I discerned that they were seriously genuine when they said that they wanted to change. So I don't believe it's that. So that's a check mark. They're willing. So you go back to patterns. It's still not changing, so you need another one. Last one, which is safety. Again, if you're doing the same thing, then you're not making it safe for them. Then you have an X there. You need to change that for it to be a check mark. You just keep going back and forth from each step. Each step, capability, willingness, and safety. You go back and forth each one. So you start with step 1, then go to patterns. Step 2, go back to patterns. Step 3, go back to patterns. Keep doing that over and over until either they're unwilling to change, incapable of changing, or you are incapable of changing or unwilling. So if any of those happen, you cut them off. But I'd like to give caution to cutting them off forever. Maybe something changes. Maybe they become a better person. Maybe they regret the way they treated you. And in, 2 years, maybe you don't have to cut them off forever. Not maybe. Honestly, this happens a lot of the time, more often than not. You do not have to cut them off forever. But I think that once you weigh the decisions, like, okay, they're not willing to do this. I'm willing to do this. I guess they don't care about me as much as I want them to. At that point, you just reduce you talking to them and you socializing with them, and then that's it. You have either a better relationship with somebody or you have less of a bad relationship with somebody. Less of a bad relationship is a net good, like a negative and a double negative is good, or a double negative is positive. Sorry. I mean, even the Bible says to, I'm loosely paraphrasing, but to cut off, I shouldn't honestly paraphrase. I'll put up the quote on screen, along with or not the quote, the verse, because it's a very nice quote, but it needs specification. It's a lot of things in the Bible, honestly. If I were to, like, a lot of them could be misinterpreted, misconstrued. That's okay. That's okay, though. I mean, the Bible isn't supposed to be if you're doing this situation, then you should be doing this exact situation, or this exact action. Like, it's not a logical, it's not a logic book. It's not something that you just, like, do exactly this. Like, it's not going to tell you exactly what to do. It just gives you, I guess, advice. Or, yeah, I guess that's the right word, advice. So, that being said, this is the end of the video. You guys learned how to weigh your decisions on whether or not you should cut someone off. A real framework that I've used for many years. I have many better relationships, and I have a lot less negative relationships. I'm very satisfied with this framework. I believe that you are too. If you find the way that I articulate, and if you like the insight that I give, consider liking, subscribing, commenting, even sharing. You know, like, if you have a friend that may need this, share it. There's nothing wrong with sharing it. So, that's about it. Ciao.